Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It has been a little while. Things have been a little bit hectic since Christmas with lots of yoga things going on, but I really want to get these videos back on track. And I had a notification the other day about a video that I posted a year ago. And it was when I read an extract from one of my journals when I was young. It was a poem, a bit of writing that I wrote when I was going through a really tough time in my life. If you haven't seen that video, then I'll link to it below and you can have a watch. It was all around kind of my body dysmorphia, my eating disorders. And then I put a request out on Instagram the other day and asked people what they want me to film. And I had quite a few people DMing me about just kind of knowing what it's like life after an eating disorder. Now, I can't stress enough, obviously, that I am just one person in a whole sea of humans that go through similar things. So I can only talk about this from an experience point of view. I am obviously not a therapist. I am not a professional when it comes to giving you advice for how you should do it. But I kind of feel like I learn a lot from seeing other people on their journey and listening to what they had to say. So hopefully if there is any way in which I can help you through sharing my experience, then that's something that I want to do. So just to kind of give, I guess, a little bit of a background, I suffered with bulimia and anorexia when I was between the age of, I guess, 16 and 21. I'm now 31. So it's 10 years ago, okay? A lot has happened in those 10 years. But when I say that I kind of suffered until I was 21, that was kind of the cutoff when I stopped purging from bulimia and I kind of really started on my road to recovery. It's not kind of a hard and fast like, oh, I haven't got an eating disorder anymore or I haven't got any issues, because ultimately the issues that I had and that I was working with are things from my past, things from childhood, things that I've been conditioned to kind of like feel like and to think like. So, you know, when you think about that kind of starting when I was 16, there are years that led up to me getting to that point. So it's only natural that it's going to take years to come away from it. And though I am in a very good headspace, like right now as I sit here on my friend's apartment floor in Sydney, I can say that I am happy and that I feel so comfortable in my own skin and confident and sexy and beautiful. However, there are days when I feel crap. There are days when my inner dialogue is awful. There are days when I don't really even want to look in the mirror. There are days when someone will say something nice to me and I just want to push them or punch them. Not that I would, but you know, there are still days when that happens. So I guess I just want to talk to you guys about kind of what life is like now, knowing that I've been through all of that. The first thing that I've learned is just a really simple phrase, and it's don't let your past define you. And I think that for me, when it comes to this part of my life, and also when it comes to kind of like past injuries and my knee reconstruction and things like that, up to a point, I did let them define me. I was that girl that had the issues, that I was the girl kind of in school that, you know, was sad and would kind of run off to the toilets and purge. And I guess I let that define me for quite a while, and I would kind of bring myself back to that. But through working with therapists and just working on myself, journaling, the yoga, the meditation, which I'll get onto all that in a minute, I have really learned that my past is my past. And it's all about trying to just be in the present moment. And that's something that we're going to talk about in terms of when it comes to triggers and dealing with things that come up for you or come up for me when it happens to me. Is just really just harnessing into your body and honing in to your body and feeling into the present moment and letting go of the things that are happening around you, and then starting to work forwards with coping mechanisms. So there are lots of things that still trigger me in daily life. So like I say, I may feel great and I may feel a certain way 95% of the time, but that doesn't change the fact that there are still things daily that kind of, you know, just tap into my brain and say, hi there, like, we're just here to trigger you and to see if we can knock you down a little bit. And it's up to me. It's entirely up to me as to how I let that affect myself. So some of the triggers that I find will be comparison to people. Like, that is a massive one, especially within my job, being online. So it's really, really important that I take time away from social media. It's really important that I kind of sit with myself and really look at my life and feel into my body, and to really know that what I'm doing is what counts for me, and I have no idea what is going on in anyone else's brain. And I think that's something that we have to remember. Judgment and comparison is a very dangerous game, but ultimately you have no idea why somebody is the way they are. You see a finished product and it's up to us if we judge, but just remember that when we're judging, we're a lot of the time projecting our own insecurities and our own fears onto somebody else. So for me, when that happens, when I kind of hear that voice creeping in, like, oh, you know, she looks great, or I don't know, her life looks wonderful, whatever it might be, you know, her bum doesn't have a dead bit of muscle that makes it look a bit saggy. See, all of those little things, they are the things that kind of can creep in, and they can manifest and they can get bigger and kind of uglier. So it's important that you notice them one by one as they're happening, and that's what I've learned to do over the years. And so when that thought creeps in, I just let it be there. So acceptance, allowing the trigger to be there, allowing it to kind of come in, allow the thought to be there, and don't beat yourself up if it's there. Just say to yourself, okay. And I genuinely do this, and I actually learned this years and years ago when I was having nightmares. I used to have really bad nightmares, and I think I went to some kind of therapist. This was a long time ago, and the guy just said to me, look, when those images and those thoughts come in before you're going to sleep, just rather than say go away, go away, go away, which is obviously just going to make them want to be there even more, he just said to me, talk to them. Just say, hey thought, you're here. I accept you for being here. I'm not actually going to play any role in making you any bigger, but you can just sit there and do your thing. And honestly, that works. And sometimes I'll say it out loud, sometimes I'll say it to myself, and yeah, for me, that is something that works. Food is also sometimes a trigger, not massively. If I'm in a really stressed situation, sometimes I will overeat. And then over Christmas, I was in a very emotional state. I went through kind of a period of kind of like 4 to 8 weeks of just being in a very low state, and my appetite wasn't there. And I noticed there were a couple of thoughts coming in where I lost a bit of weight, and I was thinking, oh, this is nice. And instantly I knew that where the dangerous thoughts were. I knew that that wasn't a healthy mindset to have. And so I sat down with it. And what we're going to get onto around food is learning about the value of food and seeing it as nourishment and not seeing it as the enemy. So food can be a trigger for me. It's not the biggest one, but it can be every now and again. So as with every situation in life, you have, or we have the power, like I've just said, to choose how we respond to it. So one of the other things that I've had to really work with over the years is compliments from people, especially face-to-face ones. Online ones, I'm like, oh, that's really nice. Face-to-face ones used to make me feel so awkward, and someone would say something and I'd say, yeah, but this is wrong with me. And now it's just learning to accept and respond in a positive way, because what I say outwards is also being said in my brain. So my outer dialogue and my inner dialogue are connected. So what I want to be saying when someone pays me a compliment is, thank you. Thank you. I feel good today. Or thank you. Like, I do actually like my eyelashes right now. Whatever it might be, and that takes time. That's quite a hard thing to do, at least it was for me. But you know, these are things that just kind of tiny little things that daily, you know, they kind of add up to making your transition or your life a kind of more positive and happy place. The yoga and meditation for me was a huge help. And I don't mean yoga in terms of being on my mat, the asana practice. Though I love it, I absolutely love getting on a yoga mat. it was everything that I learned around yoga. So in yoga, there are these 8 limbs of yoga. So I'm not going to go into too much detail, because these are things that, if should you wish to learn for yourself, then you can. But there are, I guess, not rules, but we have yamas and niyamas, and they're all about the way you conduct yourself to yourself, and then the way you conduct yourself out there in the world around people, and just all about kind of, you know, non-violence, and not just talking about going out and punching someone, but non-violence to yourself, truthfulness, non-stealing, and stealing not, again, just in kind of like actually stealing something, but stealing time away from yourself or whatever it might be. And they're the things that I learned that really made sense to me and made me start thinking about my life in a lot more depth. You know, just working with this loving kindness towards other people, towards myself, and yoga really was what brought me there. And I'm still learning every single day through yoga, through meditation. Meditation was something that I got into a little bit later. I've been doing yoga for, I think, just over 8 years, and I probably didn't start meditating until about 5 years ago, and even then it was on and off. It took time to get to grips with, and even now I have times where I don't meditate, but I do try my best to find a bit of meditation every single day, even if it's more of like a mindfulness meditation, out walking, being really present, or if it's actually sitting down on my bolster and, you know, looking like how a picture perfect meditator would look. But meditation is amazing. It helps us find a bit of stillness. It helps me find a bit of clarity. I can kind of, in those really anxious times, I can just take time to feel into that and to accept that. So meditation isn't about just, especially not in this modern day, isn't about just clearing your mind of all your thoughts and everything is the world's a happy place again. It's actually just feeling into how you're feeling. So asking yourself, like, how do I feel? Can I sit with this? Can I be still with this? And can I accept this for what it is? And then coming to find focus and concentration on things like breath, and mantra, and your body. So meditation for me has been a really powerful tool going forwards and coming away from eating disorders, because it allows me to really work with that inner dialogue, and it allows me to kind of be curious about who I am and why I am the way I am. Which leads me on nicely to therapy. So I know that therapy is expensive, and I've spoken about this in numerous like vlogs and videos and blog posts before. For me, it was brilliant, and I would invest money time and time again. I'm actually having a break from therapy at the moment, just because I felt like there were some things that I needed to do on my own to kind of feel like I was strong enough that I could do them on my own. But I actually think that whether you're going through a textbook bad time or not, therapy is amazing. Just having a non-judgmental and totally impartial person to talk to about whatever it is you're dealing with, whatever it is that's coming up for you, is a really valuable thing to have. So if you are somebody that can afford therapy, then I would massively recommend it. Or book in for like an intensive therapy retreat or something like that, then yeah, I honestly would constantly go back to therapy, and will constantly go back to therapy at the times in my life when I need it. If therapy is kind of like far out of your the realms of either, I don't know, wherever you're living or your financial situation, then have a look for sort of things like events and panels and talks and stuff like that. Especially with the world of Instagram, there are so many actual experts out there, not people that are pretending to know everything but don't. But there are actual experts out there who are running events, who are giving good advice around eating disorders and things like that. I will actually link to a couple of people that I know below if there are people that you want to follow, because I know that some of these ladies do events and panel talks, and you know, that's kind of a cheaper way to, you know, get a little bit of face time with somebody that's an expert, and somebody that can hopefully give you a little bit of advice, obviously albeit in a group setting, in an event, but you might be able to take something away from it that could really help you on your transition to, you know, I don't know, I'm kind of talking as if like when it's not recovered Does this make sense? When I say transition, I guess just the transition from day to day. You know, life changes day to day, and we're up, we're down, we're like a roller coaster. So it's just, yeah, kind of working with what comes up each day. Don't know if any of that made sense, but went on a bit of a tangent. So gonna get back on track. Something else, and I touched upon it before, is all around about food, but I want to talk about the importance of learning to cook. And with learning to cook, we learn about the value of food, we learn about nutrition, we learn about what foods and why food is nourishing, and we, you know, look less at numbers and things like that, but more about like taste and enjoyment and things. And when you're cooking something, you're mindfully within a food experience. So you're seeing it as a whole new thing. I know that when I had an eating disorder, I guess in my kind of worst time, the only thing I would eat every day was one of those small tins of spaghetti hoops, cold, from the can. And like, there is no nourishment, there is no enjoyment, there is no preparation. There's nothing. That is purely soulless punishment that I am putting on myself. And that was in kind of, you know, my really bad phase. But there's been many other times where I kind of haven't really cared too much. And I'm not saying you have to make every single meal that you have. And I'm not saying that you can't have, you know, chocolate or crisps or whatever it is. But what I am saying is that it's important to learn about the value of food. And within learning about that value, ultimately we find enjoyment, and again, we find acceptance, and we actually want to put those things into our bodies to make our bodies strong and to make our bodies a happy place. So they're kind of some of the things that I come up against within my daily life. And like I say, you know, even though I'm on this very positive path, it doesn't mean that every day is sunshine and smiles. You know, I think for me personally, there will always be a journey. But I also know that if I want to have children at some point in my life or anything like that, I want to be in the best position that I can mentally, so that when if I have said children, I can talk about these things in a really positive way, so as not to pass on any of my issues. And yes, that is much easier said than done, but why not at least try? So that's kind of where I'm at. And I hope that maybe there are some tips there and some bits that you can take home with you. But thank you so much for watching. Please comment below if you have any questions, and I'll do my best to answer everything that you ask. And I will see you guys again soon. Bye bye.